Well, it's that time of the week that we know you've been waiting for. Spencer and Gabe are just two good friends chatting about movie topics galore. We talk and we argue and we giggle and we cry. Tell all your friends and bring them by. So have a listen and grab a quick snack. It's time for you to sit down with the Laugh Track. Alright everybody, welcome back to the Laugh Track. This is going to be the Justice League pre-thoughts. You may be thinking, hey Gabe, it's just you. False. It's actually going to be me and Spencer. We're doing a new format. We tweeted out a while back, can you guys send us what you're looking forward to us talking about for pre-thoughts for Justice League? And we got 6 really good questions back, and we're going to sit here and answer them individually. We weren't able to hook up due to our schedules, but if you're listening to the audio, I'm probably going to put my segment first because I'm editing it. So if Spencer explains the same thing a minute, from now on, when it's his turn, just ignore that part. But I'm going to combine the audio, combine the video, blah, 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 blah. All right, so the first question is, what do you think Superman's role will be in the Justice League? And when do you think they'll introduce him? In the beginning, middle, or do you think he'll show up right at the end to save the day? That's a really good question. Pre-thoughts for that would be, I've mentioned in a couple podcasts, the ones we hook up with True Defense, Ryan from Twitter, I mentioned that I think personally Superman is going to come at the end of the movie and he's going to do some heroic save the day type, BS. I'm personally not a fan of Superman. I think that any superhero who has god tier powers almost, what can stop him? Kryptonite? Ooh. But other than that, the dude's really like unstoppable, I guess I would say. So I definitely think that they're going to implement him more towards the second half. I know that he was hinted at in Batman vs. Superman, with the floating rock, so it's a given that he's not dead. I've seen the promotional posters and I haven't seen commercials for the movie per se, but I have seen some scenes here or there accidentally, flipping channels, walking in the movie theater. So I do know that he'll be back. I'm predicting easily 3/4 or 4/4 of the way through the movie he'll come back. I don't think that they're going to implement him right away just because of the fact that they need to, introduce the other new characters plus cause some sense of concern that they're not going to be able to tackle whatever villain this movie will hold, and then bring him back like, oh, Superman saves the day, back from the dead. Lois Lane's like, oh, he's not really dead, blah, blah, blah. And then definitely in the second movie, they're kind of going to, my prediction would be like, here's how he came back, here's what he did, the spiritual journey, all that BS. So there's my answer for that one. Here's another one. From what I have seen in the trailers, this movie appears to have comedic elements thrown into it. It seems like the Flash will be sort of a jokester, similar to Marvel characters. DC has notoriously been known for being dark and sinister in their tones, with limited jokes thrown in it. How do you think this will compare to the Marvel type of humor we have slowly seen becoming the norm? So like Tony Stark's jokes, his swagger, Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and then the new Thor even. And will it work? I think going back to I said I've seen a few things. I've seen promo where the Flash seems to take over the role of almost like the Tom Holland Spider-Man, where it seems like the jokes he's making about being a superhero is like, I guess, like, he knows that he's a superhero. I'm saying is like, it's not like he's going with it. Like, this guy has superpowers all of a sudden, and he's kind of like a teenage kid about it. I don't know if he's actually a teenager, but it definitely seems like he's going to take the role of, jokester, stuff like that. Do I think it's going to work? Honestly, no, and I hope that it doesn't. And here's why. I think that you need to leave the jokes and the lighthearted comics to Marvel, and leave the darker tones to DC, like they have been doing, stuff like that. Because if I want to sit down and watch a comic book movie, it's going to depend on my mood. If I want to watch a lighthearted one, I'm going to put a Marvel on. If I want to watch, this deep, psychological, Dark Knight, do I blow up the bomb and save the town or the people, stuff like that, then I'm going to put on a DC movie. And I still want kind of the separation between the two. I don't really want there to be blended into one where all comic book movies become the norm of, being joking, being fun, stuff like that. So, do I think it'll work? I think they're going to do it. and I think they're gonna try to make it work, but I hope that it miserably fails. All right, next question. Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman are new Justice League heroes we will be introduced to during the movie with a 2-hour runtime, which is crazy actually. Do you think they will be adequately introduced to the 3 new characters and still have enough screen time to develop their character arcs along with other heroes, or will it suffer the same fate as Suicide Squad where the entire project feels rushed and unfinished? That is a great question, and going into Justice League, that is my number one concern. Batman vs. Superman felt too long and dragged on with all the new stuff they were trying to implement. They had, the Wonder Woman thing. They had Batman they introduced. They had Lex Luthor. They had, what's the proper name for the Clay guy? Clayface? Is that who that even was? No, it was Doomsday. They had Doomsday. They had the Michael Shannon character. They had Superman. They had all this stuff. And that movie was a bit too long and a bit too boring, and this one's going to be 2 hours. But I feel like if you had the choice, you really need to reverse the 2 movies. You need to make Justice League the 2.5-hour one and make Batman vs. Superman the 2-hour one, because I feel like they're not going to have enough time to introduce all these people, all the, like, why they're this, blah, 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 and then still have the time to develop a villain, a sense of urgency of, the villain or antagonist going protagonist, whatever the word would be, gonna destroy the world as it normally is for superhero movies, and then still have time to have Superman come back and for them to save the day. I just think that it's not gonna be, fine-tuned. I think it's gonna feel super like, we gotta get through this ASAP, unless they go the route where it's like, everyone knows the Flash can run fast. We're not going to introduce his powers. We're just going to introduce his character. Everyone knows the Cyborg's a robot, I think. See, clearly I don't know what it is, so I'm hoping that they kind of give me like a 2-minute, maybe even a 2-minute montage or something like they did for Suicide Squad, where they showed the list of attributes or statistics for that person and why they're who they are. I hope they don't go that route, but I definitely hope that they flesh out these characters more than the 2-hour, time limit gives you to... I'm rambling, you know what I'm trying to say. Next question. Do you predict that they will resolve whatever villain battle they are fighting in this movie, and for part 2 have a new villain entirely, or will this entire movie be a character setup similar to Hunger Games Part 1 and Deathly Hallows Part 1, where the second movie is where all the big action sequences take place? And here's where I'm torn, because I want that, but I also don't want it to turn into Harry Potter 1 or Deathly Hallows 1 or even Power Rangers, where it's all character arc. I still want to see some action, some battle, some sense of urgency to save the world, because while it's cool that they would take their time to do, set up the universe, set up the story like that, I definitely think that they're way behind in scheduling in terms of Marvel's been pushing out this universe since 2008. And now they're playing catch-up. I definitely feel like they're going to rush a new villain out. They're going to do boom, boom, boom. It's going to be explosion after explosion. And then movie 2 will be the villain. So, or a new villain, I mean, is what I'm trying to say. I don't know which one I really want, though. We're going to say right now, officially, as of midnight 11, I would want them to do, like, Deathly Hallows Part 1. Because there's still some action in that, but you really got a sense of the urgency or the character development. And then in part 2, there was really the urgency to solve the final battle and do all this stuff. And are they going to stop at Justice League 2? It probably not. It's going to rake in the cash. They're going to do solo films. And then they're going to do Justice League 4, 5, 6, 3, stuff like that. So, I don't know. Have you read anything on social media that stands out to you and the movie? And have any of the ratings, reviews changed your opinions of what to expect? Those who know me know that I'm notorious for staying out of, kind of like the trailers, the reviews, stuff like that. But I have managed to hear a few things saying that this movie is actually not terrible. And that if you did not like Man of Steel or Batman vs. Superman, that this is going to be a breath of fresh air. I personally did not like Wonder Woman like everyone else did. I thought it was very boring, kind of, in a way. So, Am I really hyped for this movie? Yes, because I'm a sucker and a sheep, but at the end of the day, I don't think that it changes my expectations or anything. I'm still expecting this to be another mediocre DC outing at the end of the day. I mean, I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I like Jeremy Irons as Alfred. And if we're, to be honest, I like the Batman aspect of this whole universe the most so far. Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman does a great job. I don't like Superman. I don't like Lex Luthor, which I don't even know if he's in this movie. I don't like Ezra Miller. I've seen him in like 2 or 3 movies, and he just doesn't do it for me. So, as the Flash, which is a pretty cool superhero. I mean, if I had the ability to run like Usain Bolt, I would do it. Specifically, are you looking to be blown away more by the CGI and the fight choreography scenes, along with costumes and other visual aids, or are you hoping to be blown away by a story now that all the heroes are coming together? Is it a cop-out if I say both? It probably is. So we're going to say story. I think that having a good story goes a lot farther than having good visuals. Perfect example, Avatar. Beautiful visuals, you know, saw it in 3D on the theater, saw it at home. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. The story sucks. I will never watch the movie again. It's basically, you know, Pocahontas. Trying to think of another example on the fly. Can't. 300. 300 has good visuals. I like Zack Snyder's directing in that. Stuff like that. But the story for me doesn't do it. Never gonna watch it. I feel like if the story is super good and the characters are all on screen and they're coming together and it feels like a good ensemble movie like the first Avengers did, then the action will get better with time. And the choreography, you know, CGI and all that crap. Well, CGI won't, but I'll be more forgiving towards it if the story is good. So, that's that. And that concludes all the questions that we got, but I got another thing that I kind of thought of on looking through this movie. I noticed that Robin Wright is in this movie, and if I remember correctly, in Wonder Woman, her character got killed off. So it's going to be interesting to see again how they fit flashbacks apparently now into a 2-hour movie. PG-13 like usual, so no blood and guts, but it's going to be, you know, your usual fighting where they're just punching each other and the people die, you know, which is never going to happen. But Zack Snyder directed this one, but he dropped out and they had to reshoot some scenes due to a family situation. So that's going to be interesting to see if you can tell the difference. For those who know Zack Snyder's style, he really has like the slow-mo shots going into fast speed to normal speed, slow-mo, stuff like that. And he's a much better visionary than he is a director in my eyes. I definitely like, he has a good eye for how to shoot a scene. He doesn't have a good eye or a good way of telling stories. And I think that's what's been DC's downfall, is they keep hiring this guy. And you'll have his critics and his backers, and they're always going to defend him and what have you. There's always going to be the Zack Snyder stans. I am not a stan of Zack Snyder. I will fault him when he deserves it. I love Watchmen, and that's about it. So, and then last thought, J.K. Simmons, one of my favorite actors, and he's going to be Commissioner Gordon. It's going to be interesting to see how he does that, since the last time we saw him was Whiplash? That's the last time I saw him, I think. Let's check. Let's check real quick. Let's check. J.K. Simmons, he is age 1955, whenever that was. So, oh, we saw him in The Snowman, but that movie sucked and I completely forgot about it. So, last time I saw him was, yeah, in La La Land / Whiplash. Zootopia, Kung Fu. I'm just proving myself wrong the longer this podcast goes on, so I'm going to cut it short. I am super excited for Justice League, but I hope that I'm not disappointed. I don't think I can handle another DC disappointment, especially when you got Black Panther coming out next for Marvel. I mean, Thor was so good, Spider-Man was so good, and now you have Black Panther coming out, and then you have the Infinity War. Like, for all its hate, I didn't hate the Avengers 2. I see why it's not a perfect movie, but I definitely don't think that it deserves all the hate that it's getting. It wasn't as good as the first one, and I just hope that Justice League can establish itself as the DC movie going forward, like Avengers did for so long, because you had your solo films for all the other guys, And then you had Avengers, and that's all anyone was talking about. I don't want this one to come out, and then people are comparing it in terms of crap quality to Suicide Squad or Man of Steel. I want them to say, wow, this might actually be better than Wonder Woman, which everyone can agree, even though I don't agree, that it's the number one frontrunner for DC currently. So, yeah. Catch you guys later.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Nathan here. Gonna do a little bit of pre-thoughts for you guys. Got some questions that you guys want answered before we see the movie. Alright, diving right in. Here we go. From what I've seen in the trailers, this movie appears to have comedic elements thrown in. It seems like the Flash will be a sort of jokester. DC has notoriously been known for being dark and sinister in their tones, with limited jokes thrown in. How do you think this will compare to the Marvel type humor we have slowly seen become the norm? And will it work? I think that the jokes in this movie won't necessarily be on the same level as Marvel's. Not saying like Marvel's jokes you need to be so smart to understand. This isn't Rick and Morty, all right? This is just jokes. Shut up, Bella. Sorry, my cat's ruining the pre-thoughts experience for you guys. So, going back, how will it compare? I don't think people, the audiences, will come away with it as being as funny as Marvel movies, but I think it'll still be funnier than the other DC movies. And I think the humor will work. I think, although audiences won't think it's as funny as the Marvel movies, they'll still think, it worked. It was pretty funny still. Alright, diving right into the next question. Question number 2 regarding Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman. So, Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman are the new Justice League heroes we will be introduced to during this movie. With a 2-hour runtime, do you think they will adequately introduce the 3 new characters and still give enough screen time to develop their character arcs along with the other heroes, or will it suffer the same fate as Suicide Squad, where the entire project feels rushed and unfinished? This is actually a great question. It's actually one of my main concerns as well. We only have limited knowledge of Batman. We know Superman and Wonder Woman, at least in the DCU. We don't know much about Batman. And we know basically nothing about these 3, Cyborg, Flash, and Aquaman. I'm nervous a little bit. I don't think they're going to focus a lot of time on the origins of the 3, because that might be their own movies, and that might not go over well with the general audience. I know Aquaman, I predict they'll spend the least amount of time on him, mostly because he's just getting his own movie next year. I don't think they've announced a Cyborg movie. And the Flash solo movie, I think, was turned into Flashpoint. I may be wrong on that. I'm not too sure. So yeah, I'm not too sure that they're going to adequately introduce the 3 new characters. And, I don't know if they go on any arcs during the movie. They probably do. I just don't think they're going to be adequately fleshed out. And then the other part of the question, will it suffer the same fate as Suicide Squad, where the entire project feels rushed, unfinished? I think if it does feel unfinished or rushed, I don't think that's a problem of the failure to thoroughly flesh out the characters. I think that's mostly due to the rumor that Warner Brothers told DC Films that the movie has to be under 2 hours. I think that severely harmed this movie from, going 2.5 hours. That 30 minutes may not be a lot, but it can be a lot when you're telling the backstory of these 3 that nobody really knows about. If you go to someone on the street and you're like, yo, do you know who Aquaman is? They're probably going to be like, no. But I mean, next year-ish, around this time, they're probably going to be like, yeah, we just saw the movie with him in it. So yeah, I don't think they're going to be thoroughly fleshed out, and if it feels rushed, unfinished, it's not because of that. It might be because of it being shortened to under 2 hours. I think the final runtime is an hour 59-ish, something like that. I'm not too sure. Might have to look that up. Alright. So, do you predict that they will resolve whatever villain battle they're fighting in this movie, and for part 2 to have a new one entirely? Or will this movie be set up similarly to Hunger Games Part 1 and Harry Potter Part 1, where the second movie is where all the main big action sequences take place? I fully believe at the end of Justice League, Steppenwolf, the main villain in the movie, is going to be done. He's going to be killed, banished, whatever. He's not coming back unless he's brought back from the dead. I don't think that I'm not too sure about the whole part 2 part. I think this is a similar situation to Avengers 3 and 4. 3 is Infinity War, and 4 was supposed to be called Infinity War Part 2, but then they came out and they're like, it's not called Part 2 anymore, don't call it that, it's just Avengers 4, we're going to add another name onto it later at a later time after Infinity War. I think that's going to be similar with Justice League, like Justice League 2, blah blah blah, some subtitle. I think this one's just going to be action, next one's going to be action. I think they're going to get rid of the villain at the end of this one, which is why they didn't want to choose a bigger villain that everybody's heard of, basically. And instead they're choosing like a smaller villain that, you know, that if the movie doesn't do well, or, you know, if it does do well, then nobody's going to be like, oh man, they already wasted, you know, Darkseid, or, you know, any other big Brainiac, some other big DC villain. Alright, next question. Question number cuatro. That's 4 in Spanish. Doing a little Spanish here on the laugh track. Alright, what do you think Superman's role will be in Justice League? And when do you think they'll introduce him? When do you think they'll introduce him? In the beginning, middle, or do you think he will show up right at the end to save the day? So I think at first Superman's role, he's going to be disoriented. You know, he's coming back from the dead. Spoilers if you haven't seen Batman vs. Superman. He gets speared at the end. Boy's dead. About dead as hell. Alright. When do you think they'll introduce him? Beginning, middle, or end? I think it'll be beginning, middle-ish. I think he's going to come back, kind of be evil, fight everyone for a bit, and then Batman and Wonder Woman are being like, yo, quit it. Alright, quit it. You're good. You understand. You know us. Or maybe they like knock him out, and you know, he comes and flies, and they keep him at Wayne Manor maybe, and like that's the scene in the trailer where Alfred's like, oh, you know, he said you'll come, or whatever. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Superman, since they've kept him out of the marketing for obvious reasons. They want everybody to think he's dead, but he's not. He's not dead. Alright, next question. We got one more question after this one. Have you read anything on social media that stands out to you about the movie, and have any of the ratings or reviews changed your opinion on what to expect? Alright, so I've been keeping track of the social media reviews, they're smallish reviews. And the main thing that I've seen in this is it's a fun movie. I heard it's fun. It's not, you know, perfect. It's bumpy, but it's still a good ride. Still enjoyable ride. I've heard Flash is great. I heard Aquaman's great. And on the flip side, I've heard Cyborg and Steppenwolf aren't that great, which, you know, doesn't really surprise me. Maybe they're not focusing enough on Cyborg, since he's like not many people know who he is, and Steppenwolf's the villain. I believe, you know, superhero movies, they don't really cover the villain well enough. There's not really been a villain that I've liked in a superhero movie. The closest has been Captain America: Civil War. I really like that supervillain. So he was just a normal guy who was just mad. He was pissed off at the Avengers, and he did all this to break them apart, and I like that. I don't think, it changed my opinion a little bit. I was like, not too sure about Aquaman and Flash. As I said earlier, you know, I was skeptical of how they were gonna be able to make Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg, good in this movie. And this basically cements in my mind that, they can't really do all three. Maybe they can do two, but they can't do all three in the same movie. Can't introduce them and fully flesh them out. Last question. I know, you guys are crying. You love my insight. You love my questions. You love my answers. Specifically, am I looking to be blown away more by CGI and fight scenes along with costumes and other visual aids? Or are you hoping to be blown away by story now that the heroes are all coming together? I think the story is actually going to include the heroes coming together, so I think when the heroes come together, then the story is going to be riding high. I'm looking forward to fight scenes, CGI, and costumes. Usually those are top notch in these comic book movies. The story usually isn't that great in superhero movies, but it's certainly been getting better. It's started here and it's like getting to here now. It's looking good for comic book movies. And this one specifically, I'm excited for the story, to see where everything goes. I've also seen this, relating back to the last question, heard there's a few twists and turns that you don't see coming. I'm looking forward to that. Those are always the best to me, because it's the audience. The audience's reaction just makes it great to me. That's what I like the most about twists and turns, and that's what I'm hoping to be blown away about by twists, turns. I'm also looking forward to be blown away by the post-credit sequence. Apparently, I've heard a couple rumors, rumblings that post-credit sequence is going to totally change everything about the DCEU. Not too sure about that. I hope they don't kill off Ben Affleck. I love him. So yeah, that's my thoughts about this movie. Catch you guys on the flip side. Nathan out.
What's up, guys? It's your host Spencer Whiteman with the Laugh Tracks, and I'm going to give this video to Gabe, and I'm not sure if he's going to play me first or second. So if he plays me first, welcome. We are doing the pre-thoughts for Justice League 2017. And if you're watching me second, you already know what's going on, so let's jump into the questions. I hope Gabe explained what's going on with the questions. We took questions from you guys, our listeners, the ones that listen to us, and we're going to answer them. Now, you might notice a few things are different, like the setting we're in, or maybe that my host is not white or male. This is a guest we have, very special to me, and what's your name? Jonah. Yep, she's my girlfriend. You guys have seen her before, and her knowledge on movies is pretty extensive, as is sort of mine. So let's see what she's got to say. First question, and I hope that this doesn't get annoying, because Gabe might have definitely read them completely. So I'm gonna go through them kind of quick. And number one, and I'm gonna let you answer first. From what I have seen in the trailers, this movie appears to have comedic elements thrown in. It seems like the Flash will be sort of a jokester, and DC has notoriously been known for being dark and sinister in their tones, with limited jokes thrown in. How do you think this will compare to the Marvel type of humor we have slowly seen become the norm? Like Tony Stark, like his swagger, the new Spider-Man making jokes as he's fighting people, or the new Thor Ragnarok, which was hilarious nonstop throughout. So how do you think DC is going to try and incorporate the jokes that Marvel has done so well with? And do you think they're going to try to incorporate them in the new Justice League?
Well, I saw a different trailer. It's not that funny. It was kind of serious tone, but
Right.
I feel like they might take on it just because.
Okay.
I don't think it would be successful in it because the Marvel has done such a good job with putting that in there, but
Right.
probably it'll appeal a lot with the kids
Okay.
and stuff.
Yeah, I totally think that they're gonna try and start slowly incorporating the humor elements into the movies, because it really has done a lot for Marvel. I can tell you that I've appreciated the new Thor significantly more than the old ones, and a lot of that is because of the humor aspects, and DC having been kind of behind, I feel, on a lot of the the movie things. You know, that's what DC does. I think that some jokes will help them out. And I have seen a few different trailers, and some of them do seem like the Flash is going to be kind of like funny. He's going to be kind of like, you know, snarky, or like, you know, like just kind of, you know, going with it, going with the flow. But I have seen trailers that seem like the movie's going to be kind of dark. I mean, Aquaman seems like an alcoholic. You know, Batman seems like he's like super stressed out about the whole thing. Like nobody seems like they really want to be together, but like they're obligated to. So I don't know. I'm really interested to see like just how it's all gonna kind of add up, and if there is gonna be any of the comedic, you know, relief for the stressful and depressing kind of storyline that we've seen in the trailers.
It might just come all from the Flash.
Yeah,
Considering
it might literally be
but
just him.
There was a lot of like funny stuff, like kind of funny jokes in Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So they tried to incorporate that. Maybe it'll come from those characters.
Yeah, perhaps. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. Number 2, okay? We got Cyborg, Flash, Aquaman. These are the new Justice League heroes. And a lot of people haven't even heard about these heroes unless they have like kind of a comic book background knowledge, or like the newer generation of kids. They don't know who Aquaman is. They don't know who Cyborg is. And I mean, unless they have like a Netflix account and have peeped that new Flash show that was on a couple of years ago, they might not like. Flash isn't really that popular with the younger kids. It's like Batman, Superman, you know, Tony Stark, the Avengers. DC doesn't have their superheroes in that generation that much. So it's going to be interesting to see. So we have all the new heroes, and with a 2-hour runtime, do you think that they will adequately introduce the 3 new characters and still give enough screen time to develop their character arcs along with the other heroes? Or will it suffer the same fate as Suicide Squad, where the entire project seems rushed?
I don't know. I don't think they'll have, well, they had 2 hours, so it's like kind of like a basic movie time.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll have that much time to really like introduce the characters and the background of it, because I mean, they probably focus more on like the main characters that's so well known, that does so well, which is
Right.
like Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman. Of
Batman.
course, why would I forget Batman?
I totally think that like they're just
because Batman is the one that's organizing all of it. Right?
yeah he's
the one
putting
that's
together.
putting it all
And like just knowing like Aquaman has a solo movie coming out, like they're gonna have the solo movies come out to adequately explain the backstories, to tell you the story that they want you to know more in depth with these characters. So I think in these movies, like they're just kind of gonna give you like the run of the mill. Here's Aquaman, here's Batman, here's Superman, here's Wonder Woman, Cyborg, Flash. Like this is what they can do, and you know they're gonna go save the day. Huge CGI fest that we see, and then that's gonna be it. And then they're gonna save like the actual in-depth quality background story for the individual films, as they did with like Wonder Woman, where like they took, you know, a solid amount of time, kind of gave her backstory, her progression, and why she is the hero that she is today. So do I think it's going to suffer the same fate? I hope not, but there is the hope that like there's going to be more in-depth in the future. Whereas like Suicide Squad, like they don't have their own individual films. Like this was kind of supposed to be like their collective film, and it just wasn't what we wanted. And oh, fun fact too, I was gonna throw this out there. Like between Suicide Squad and the new Justice League, the budget for Suicide Squad was $175 million, and the budget for Justice League is $300 million. So almost double. So expect a lot more CGI, a lot more props, action. I mean, that's all just like basic. That's where that's all gonna go. I'm assuming in the end there's gonna be a huge CGI fest, as there always is. But you know, the kids love it, and
Well, it's superheroes. It has to. Be
yeah,
like that.
yeah, there has to be the big fight in the end. So do you predict that they will resolve, you know, whatever villain battle they are fighting in this movie, and then for part 2 they'll just do like a completely different issue? You know, they save the day, and then, you know, aliens come next or something, or like you know, do you think that the entire movie will be a character setup? like similar to the Hunger Games Part 1. And then like the second movie is where all the action's gonna happen. Like this literally could just be a setup movie.
I don't think it's gonna be like a setup movie because like if they're already coming out with like the Aquaman, like its own movie, it's probably just gonna be how they got together
Okay.
and giving them the audience like a little taste of each character, like the new characters.
All right. I agree. I don't think it's gonna be a setup movie because Batman vs Superman was the setup for Justice League. A lot of people forget that.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
think of
Batman vs Superman was like where like you get the taste, you get the introduction. You know, whatever you think about Batman vs Superman, that was supposed to be the setup for Justice League. Like that was what the movie was for. It wasn't even really Batman vs Superman. They just had to advertise it that way so it sold. Essentially, that's what the point behind it was the setup for Justice League. We have the setup. We know who's in it. We know that they're all coming together, and we know that they're all going to fight something. And I think that this movie's going to be, with that budget and with Batman vs. Superman being that setup, that's going to be what this movie is. It's going to be the action. For a part 2, who knows? I'll cross that bridge when I get there. All right, next question. What do you think Superman's role will be in Justice League, and when do you think they'll introduce him? In the beginning, middle, or do you think he'll show up right in the end and save the day? So this is basically place your bets on when Superman is going to come in.
Dang.
Yeah, dang. Because they can go either way. Like, they could have a huge thing and like, oh my god, like they tried to get Superman and he never comes, and then like last minute, boom.
Well, I don't know. I saw that one trailer video thing with, is it Lois Lane? His wife or whatever. But like, it was Superman in like the field.
Yeah,
And
the
then-
cornfield.
Yeah, and then she was like, "Oh, I had a dream" or whatever, or he said he had a dream that like there was like a battle and then all the action came. So I don't know. I feel like he probably would come at the end.
I also think he's going to come in the end. I think earlier in a previous episode, I said that he was going to come in the beginning. And just like kind of thinking about how the movie's actually going to play out, I think that a lot of setup is just going to have to be Batman, like, really putting in the effort and trying to get everybody together. And I think that he's not even going to reach out to Superman because he beat his ass in the last movie. You know, like, they're on some rocky terms right now. And, I think that just for storytelling and continuity...
Maybe they're gonna, like, all the other heroes are gonna, like, struggle, and then Superman gonna come.
Yeah, and fly in and save the day. So my bet is like, middle end, he's gonna come in and be a pivotal like character in the turn of the story. Have you read anything on social media that stands out to you about the movie, and have any of the ratings reviews changed your opinions of what to expect?
Well, I don't really know because I don't really read that much on the social media, but I did see that they said that it was like projected to beat like 1 billion.
Yeah, the movie is projected to hit $1 billion in the box.
But that's like the upcoming of DC Comics because of all the like the
I
that
think
they've been doing.
I think they're gonna come really darn close. And in the long run, they'll break the $1 billion mark. But it's also gonna.
But like then again, remember they thought like Suicide Squad was gonna be like popping, but
And it was, in terms of how much money they made, but just it sucked. But this is got an 8.8 on IMDb right now, which is like the viewer rating. It's not like critics. I didn't look at Rotten Tomatoes or anything. This is just like what people are saying and coming out of. A lot of what I've read on social media is just a lot of like,
excited
DC
for it.
shills. Like they're just like, they're like, oh my god, it was a lot of fun, but it had a lot of like issues as story. Personally, like, I'm not gonna nitpick the movie. I'm just happy to kind of see, like, we've all seen the Avengers get together. I'm just excited to see DC finally catching up on that and like getting all their heroes together. And so however they do it, whatever. I'm looking for fun. Like, that's what I'm going for. I haven't really seen anything that changed my like opinions or views of what to expect. I'm I'm really just trying to go into this movie as like open-mindedly as I can, so that I don't come out and be like, "Yep, it sucked just like I thought it did." My like biggest issue is like it's always just like the CGI fest in the end. You know it's coming. You know it's gonna be a big fight. You know that they're gonna defeat whatever the thing is. Like, but I'm there to see how they get there and if it's gonna be fun. I have like a feeling, like that one of the heroes is gonna get like critically injured. You know, like we're not gonna know if they're gonna make it or
Maybe that's when Superman comes in.
yeah, like who knows, but right here specifically, are you looking to be blown away more by like CGI and fight choreography, or okay, so are you looking to be more blown away by CGI and fight choreography scenes along with costumes and other visual aids, or are you hoping to be blown away by the story now that all the heroes are coming together?
I'm looking forward to like how they're gonna put them all together and like how it's gonna be like a big saving the day thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
typical hero film.
the hero film is, you already know there's gonna be a bunch of CGI in it.
Oh,
It has to,
For sure.
but I mean they all kind of do it the same way
Mm-hmm.
with all the explosions and craziness.
I feel like 2017 has been just a really good year for movies in general. You know, I've seen a lot of movies this year. I've enjoyed a lot of movies this year. But one commonality, is that a word? One common thing that they all have in common is like that they all these superhero movies we've been seeing, it's the same thing. With Thor, with Wonder Woman, with, you know, whatever. It's like they start, or Guardians of the Galaxy. You know, they're all together, little battle, victories, downfalls, you know, and then like there's the big impending doom issue that's here as they slowly like fight their way towards it, and then they fight it, and then like, you know, it's like they're doing really good, and then like, oh, they start failing, and then bam, like they save the day. Like, that's what I'm expecting with this, and you never know. I mean, you never know. DC might throw some twists and turns at us, and I did read a few things that say like there are some things that are going to surprise us, and I'm excited, but I'm really just looking forward to like
Character
stun me
development.
visually, yeah, with like I'm most hype about Aquaman. Like that's just what I am. I mean, Jason Momoa
Water.
is playing Aquaman. Yeah, I'm excited to see, you know, him do his thing in the water. I'm excited to be blown away with the visuals of like the droplets or whatever, the tsunami waves he's gonna do. Like I really just want to see Aquaman tear it up. So stun me visually. He looks like a Bamf. He looks like a DILF. I just want to see it happen. Okay, like stun me visually. You know, if the background story is there, all the better. But I'm just looking to have fun. I'm gonna go in, have a good time. I might even get a beer from the movie. Who knows? Stun me visually though, and that's all we got for the questions. And you know, we're gonna keep it short. This is already the pre-thoughts, and it's already gonna be like, you know, 30-40 minutes or whatever. So with that, catch us on the next episode. And next episode should be like a vlog kind of thing, I think. You know, I'm thinking, you know, who knows? I don't know. No one might change their mind. But we'll catch you guys in a little bit. And check out Justice League and let us know what you think. Laugh Track 2.